that you're doing well. I hope that you've eaten a lot, had a great time over the holidays. Happy Thanksgiving to you. We're gonna get this conversation in today. We're gonna get it in today. Look, I have some questions. I was on the conversation with a very good friend of mine, and we was going back and forth regarding some information that he and we've had. We have this information, but we began to really look deep into it. And that the farther we got into it, more questions began to arise. So we was looking at the year 1896 to 1903. I'm going to say this again. 1895 to 1896. 1903. I'm going to say it again. I'll make sure I get this right. 1895 to 1903. We're looking at that length of time. That's about 8 years, something like that. What happened during that span of time? And you may ask me, what do you mean what happened? Well, the reason I'm asking, the reason I got into this whole thing in regards to the 1895 to 1903, because something very interesting took place that nobody really talks about. And they give you an excuse of why, but they don't never produce any minutes. They don't never produce anything because it's an odd thing. It is crazy. So let me get into this topic. Let me get into this discussion because that's a very prominent time and era. You see, during the year 1895, right along up in there, especially 1896, that is the year that the Southern and Western Masonic jurisdiction Scottish Rite was organized. Hear me say this again. You hear a lot of brothers who are part of the ancient free and accepted Masons. You hear a lot of them when they're talking in regards to their Supreme Council. They in turn will tell you, they will tell you that their Supreme Council, for the most part, 1896. And the reason being, that is the year that John G. Jones came into being the Sovereign Grand Commander. 1896 is a very important year because you have to understand that is the year that this particular Supreme Council was organized and incorporated. 1896. So I was digging in regards to that year, 1896, and what took place. So I will tell you this. There are two stories to that particular year. Each story is identical. The only thing that changes is the names of the individual. One being Thornton A. Jackson, one being John G. Jones. Now you can go do your own research and see what you come up with, but that year is very, very interesting. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you can go right now and find these documents of 1896, and it'll tell you that is the year that John G. Jones was elected as the Sovereign Grand Commander. It would also show you that's the year that he also incorporated the Southern and Western Masonic jurisdiction. Hear me clearly. You can find these. All you have to do is do your Google search, look in some documents. You can find it for yourself. 1896 is the year that John G. Jones incorporated the Supreme Council for the Southern and Western Masonic jurisdiction. That is also the year that him and Thornton A. Jackson had their issue as far as who won or who was elected to the leadership of the Sovereign Grand Commander. There are two stories to this issue, and both stories are identical. The only thing that changes is the names of the individuals. Some say that Jones won, Some say that Thornton A. Jackson won. And in the like I said, the minutes for this Supreme Council, and I have the minutes of that year. And I read in regards to Jones winning. Also, I have some minutes saying Thornton A. Jackson won. They're almost identical. Almost identical. And I'm not here to say who's right or who's wrong. I'm here to raise your consciousness, or to get you to think what actually took place during that particular year, and what actually took place all the way up to 1903. Why 1903? So let's explore. Let's get into this. What's the door man's name? Oh my God. What's going on with you, bruh? Are you a part of the ancient Arabic order nobles of the Mystery Shrine? That I am. I am definitely part of the ancient Arabic order nobles of the Mystery Shrine. Yes, I am. So that's what we're going to talk about. Also, another part we must understand, cronyism. Did Jones and Thornton A. Jackson believe in cronyism? And some of you may ask, well, what is cronyism? Cronyism is the belief that a Supreme Council has the authority to organize a Grand Lodge. Okay? We all know it is a proven fact. This is something that I gotta go back through. It is a proven fact that the Supreme Council does have the authority to organize a Grand Lodge. That is true. Greetings to you also, my brother. So when you look at this, now you got some questions you have to go back and really take a look at. If you are a member of a Grand Lodge or a Supreme Council, you need to have access to your archives in order to kind of follow what actually took place. You gotta have that connection. You have to go back and look and see exactly what took place. Because I can only tell you in regards to the Supreme Council, for which I'm a part of, which is the Western Masonic jurisdiction, the Supreme Council. We have documents and archives about who served as a sovereign grand commander, what year. We have what took place, the different splits. We have that for us. I can't talk about anybody else, but I would tell you it is very important to go look at that, because then you're going to find out a lot of information regarding your own Supreme Council and what took place, because there are multiple things that take place. But I'm going to get back to the year 1896 to 1903. Okay, so we know that during this particular time of 1896, here's what we do know. John G. Jones, Thornton A. Jackson had an issue, okay? We also know that during this time, John G. Jones is the imperial potentate. He is the guy for the Shriners. He is that guy, okay? Those are the two factos we know, all right? Again, here's some facts. John G. Jones, Thornton A. Jackson had an issue, both claiming that they won the position for the Supreme Council. If you go and look during the time of the Washington Bee, you will find that John G. Jones' name is listed as the Sovereign Grand Commander for the Southern and Western Masonic jurisdiction. You would also find that you don't see anything readily about Thornton A. Jackson until maybe a couple of years later, when you see that Jackson is saying that he's the winner, but he has the Northern and I think it's the Northern and Southern jurisdiction. Okay, Northern and Southern jurisdiction. Look at how both of these men are claiming that they are the Sovereign Grand Commander, two different jurisdictions, but yet Jones is still a member of the most wishful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Illinois. Now, I need someone to explain to me, and I'm gonna tell you what I already know versus some other stuff. See, I was already told that during the time of this issue, this is what they say: a person can be a Scottish Rite Mason and not be in the same Grand Lodge. This is what I told, because the Scottish Rite was different. It You can be in the Grand Lodge of Illinois, but you don't have to be in the same Supreme Council, is what I was told. And I disagree with that. I heavily disagree with that. Understanding that in order for you to be part of a Grand Lodge, you first must be a Master Mason in good standings in a Grand Lodge. You cannot be in a different Supreme Council. That's a fact. However, during that time, there was a belief that cronyism was the authority when you go from 1 to 33. It was that whole Supreme Council thing. And Thornton A. Jackson believed that a Supreme Council had authority over a Grand Lodge. So did Jones. But after that year, something took place. Both of those gentlemen sort of backed up a little bit, especially Thornton A. Jackson. He got a lot of kickback in believing that, because he was a sovereign grand commander. And you got to realize Thornton A. Jackson was a 33rd, 96th degree Mason. Look, it's proven. I don't have to guess. I don't have to go back. It is proven that Thornton A. Jackson was a 33rd, 96. So people keep saying these degrees of the primitive rights are clandestine degrees, when your own sovereign grand commander had that title. He had these degrees. So somebody need to explain that to me. But in the process, you got the year 1896. John G. Jones is claiming he's the sovereign grand commander for the Southern and Western Masonic jurisdiction. And later on, about a year later, Thornton A. Jackson pops up. I'm the sovereign grand commander for the Northern and Southern jurisdiction. How can that be? John G. Jones is still actively participating in the Grand Lodge of Illinois, PHA. He's actively participating. Now, according to my understanding and the information I've read for myself, you cannot be part of a Grand Lodge that does not associate or have an agreement between the Supreme Councils. My Grand Lodge, John G. Jones Grand Lodge of California, has an agreement with the Western Masonic United Supreme Council, Western Masonic jurisdiction. That's Ancient Accepted Scottish Rite Freemason, 33rd and last degree. Okay, they have an agreement saying that the membership of this Grand Lodge, when it comes to getting its Scottish Rite, York Rite degrees at this time, hear me, at this time, that they have to go through this particular Supreme Council. It's like that. If you are a member of International, you have to go through the Supreme Council that supplies those degrees for International. If you are part of any other Supreme Council, this is where you're going to have to go and get your Scottish Rite, York Rite degree work. This is where you're going to have to go. It's a proven fact. So what happened during that time? And I'm going to tell you what I believe, because I don't know. I'm going to give you my belief based upon the information I have. This is not factual. It is my opinion about what happened, until someone could come around the corner and prove me wrong. Okay? Here's what we do know. We do know that John G. Jones was still an active member of Illinois Grand Lodge, PHA. I'm not going to even say PHA. I'm going to say Prince Hall, period. Okay? Prince Hall, period, up until 1903. This we know. Jones dies in 1914. All right? Here's another thing. My boy, Matthews was the leader of the National Grand Lodge up until 1906. He dies in 1906, okay? Thornton A. Jackson dies around 1910, maybe even sooner. I think it's 1910 or 1908, someone up in there. Thornton A. Jackson dies, all right? Jones was the last to pass away of the Titans. These were Titans. John G. Jones, Matthews, and Thornton A. Jackson, these were titans, okay, of that time. So as we get into it and we begin to take a real look at what took place, there's some things that happened that nobody talks about. And I'm here talking about it tonight because I'm beginning to see that Jones had checked out. I'm going to say this again. John G. Jones checked out. You may say, why do you believe he checked out? Because as you read the history, it tells you that John G. Jones became very active in the Scottish Rite Mason. What do they mean that he became very active? I firmly believe that Jones had the opinion that a Supreme Council could organize a Grand Lodge. So his ideal is, I'm now the sitting sovereign Grand Commander, so I can organize a Grand Lodge under my authority. Now, whether that happened or not, I don't know, but something strange did begin to occur. Something strange happened. Something was beginning, did shift. Hold on just a second. I got to go get this book. Hold on. I'll be right there. Give me just a second. I'll be right there. Give me just a second. Looking for a book. I may have to come back. Oh, got it. Well, thought I had it. All right, I couldn't find my other book. I couldn't find it. Anyway, greetings. I have some books here before me. Okay. All right, this book right here. This book right here, okay? You got to get this book, and I don't know if you can find the original copy, but you got to get it. It's a lot of information in here. And here's a part 2 to that same book, okay? You know, when you have the original copy, this is the original, right? This is the original. And then you get the revised part. Man, that's why I always like original books. Okay. So, and I say that because I'm going to share something with you. I want to share something with you that I found to be very interesting during this particular time. All right. Something that's interesting at this time that I was like, oh my goodness. All right. One thing is that you can actually go and find the incorporation papers to the Supreme Council for the Southern and Western Masonic jurisdiction. You can actually go find them. It is not like it's something hidden. You can actually go find them. And when you do, you're going to be shocked. You are going to be shocked when you find them because it's going to have some major players during that time, okay? It's going to have some major players during that time, all right? So, and I say that because you're looking at titans. You're looking at John G. Jones. You're looking at Matthews. You're looking at Thornton A. Jackson. Those are titans, and everybody that came after them, they were nothing like those guys, okay? Nothing like them. Okay. Oh, man, I'm trying to find something for you. Captain Matthews. That boy, he was a bad boy. He was a bad boy. And I want to find something for you here. This is going to be in 1914. No, I don't want to read that one. There's another one. I'm in this book right here, okay? There's some information I'm trying to really look at real quick because I think it's going to be very, very interesting for you. Because in 1877, If anybody know about the year 1877, that was the year of the National Grand Lodge had issues. Grand Lodges had begun to pull away from the National, right? When Matthews becomes the National Grand Master, he says this: if you do not come back to the National, you are going to be expelled. So the Grand Lodges that did not come back to the National were expelled Grand Lodges. I'm going to say it again. The Grand Lodges that did not come back to the National, when Thornton A. Jackson became the National Grand Master, those Grand Lodges were expelled Grand Lodges because what they was trying to do was become independent or sovereign Grand Lodges, okay? They were trying to become more like state Grand Lodges, because even what we call mainstream Grand Lodges tried to organize a national body. They really tried it. They tried to organize a national body, but it didn't work for them. However, the African Americans or the Negro Masons or colored Masons at that time did organize a national Masonic body. So in the process of doing that, they was off and running.
You work?
Yeah, what you got?
You gotta go to work?
Yeah, I'm going. I got to be there at 6 o'clock. So they did organize themselves into a national body. And even though I know people say, well, they shut down, they did not shut down. The National Grand Lodge never shut down. They were not as big. They was really hurt in regards to membership, but they still continue to exist and thrive all the way up to now. Although they may have their issues, they are still in existence, just as the other Masons that was around at that time. They're still moving about. But let's take a look and see what happened around that time, because it's very interesting. Greetings, everybody. Point blank, you got that. I was afraid of the truth based on my comment, laughing out loud. Maybe you should reread what I said. All right, I'm gonna have to go back, Kenneth. I'm gonna have to go back. I didn't see everything that you said. Okay, I'm gonna have to go back because I'm in this process right now of finding some information. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you where you could, everything I'm gonna read to you, everything I'm gonna come across, you can go find. Okay, you can go find this because it's gonna be interesting. Okay, first of all, I need for you to go to, it's called the this newspaper here, the Philadelphia Inquirer. I need for you to go and read the Philadelphia Inquirer 1904. I'm telling you where you can find this at. The Philadelphia Inquirer, Monday morning, July 11th, 1904. Get that newspaper. You can look it up, and you're going to find something in there that's very, very interesting. Okay? You're going to find something in there that's going to be, it's going to be interesting. I'm telling you where you can go find it. You don't have to take my word for it. I'm going to get to you this newspaper once again. It is the Philadelphia Inquirer, Monday morning paper, July the 11th, 1904. All right? Also, I need for you to go and find the Bordax. It's Boradax, Bordax. Okay? This is called it's the Chicago newspaper. I need for you to go and find it. It's March 12th, 1904. Go get it, and you can read it for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Go read it for yourself. All right? Go read it for yourself. And the reason I'm telling you that, because you're going to come to a conclusion in your findings where you're going to have an aha moment. All right. Now, also, that same newspaper, February the 9th, 1904, okay, is called the Bordax, Broadax, okay, 1904, February, all right, is going to be February the 10th. All right. And it's going to be number 17. That's it. All right. Man, you got to go and look it up, because it's going to change your whole mindset on what happened, because there are some missing years in there that you have to go and explore to see exactly what happened. Why did they wait to 1903 to expel John G. Jones, who was already the sovereign grand commander of a whole nother Supreme Council? All right, that he himself, who was the 33rd, incorporated along with other officers. And we have these officers' names, and they were not expelled Masons. Gives you something to think about. All right. Let's see what else we got. I need for you to go take a look at the Wichita Searchlight. Wichita Searchlight. The year is going to be February the 7th, 1901. Wichita Searchlight is a newspaper. All right. Wichita Searchlight is a newspaper. You can go look this up for yourself. Okay. Wichita, Kansas, January the 2nd, 1901. Go look at that newspaper article. You can do a simple search, and when you find it, it's going to tell you the Grand Lodge of White Masons recognizes ancient, free, and accepted Masons. Okay? It's going to tell you that. And who were they talking about? They were talking about John G. Jones. Now, this is before 1903. Man, I'm like, okay, all right. Maybe I'm missing something. But no, if you go look at it, I'm going to give you this. I'm going to give you another date. Friday, December the 11th, 1903, John G. Jones, the Grand Secretary of the Most Worshipful St. John's Grand Lodge. Ancient, free, and accepted Mason, which was incorporated in a state law, of which Worshipful Master Gray is the Grand Master. They tell you who's the Grand Master of St. John's Grand Lodge. And this is December the 11th, 1903. All right. You can go find this also in the Bordax, Boradax newspaper, December the 19th, 1903. Something was happening. Okay. Something is going on. All right. Also, if you go and look at December the 6th, let me see, December 6th, 1903, you'll see where it talks about John G. Jones, Thornton A. Jackson, and who they are and what they're working on at the time. Okay, they will tell you that John G. Jones is the sovereign grand commander, and they will tell you that Thornton A. Jackson is the grand master. All right, that's what they're going to tell you. Also, during that time, in 1900, they're going to tell you that John G. Jones, it's a fact. You can read it for yourself. He went to Romania. All right. These two Supreme Council had visitation between each other. You can look this up in the Bordax also, 1903. It's in the newspaper. See, the newspaper was the Facebook. It was the information center. Whenever you want to know something, you just read it in the newspaper, because those are the things that was printed at that time. All I'm asking you to do is go do the research for yourself. Don't take my word for it, but you can look these things up for yourself. Absolutely. All right. You have to be a 33rd and a third in living word verse, living along longer than a phoenix bird. I was just about to ask about Romania. Oh yeah, so I'm not going to even talk about H.C. Scott going to Romania. That has been proven incorrect. I'm going to say this again. H.C. Scott, who I don't know much about him, but he was a very active man in Freemasonry. The claim is that H.C. Scott went to Romania, and there was some diplomatic exchanges, and that's how everything took place. If you are part of the ancient, free, and accepted Masons, you have heard that story. I'm here to tell you myself, my belief based upon the facts. I'm not talking about my emotion, but based upon the facts, that did not happen. I know that's going to hurt some people's feelings, but that didn't happen at that time. What actually did occur, and you can go back and read this out of the newspaper based upon printed information. In 1900, John G. Jones himself, who was the Sovereign Grand Commander, he indeed goes to Romania, and they indeed work out a mutual recognition amongst the Supreme Council. Here's my interpretation of what happens. Just like most information that goes in one person's ear and comes out of their mouth to somebody else, it gets all mixed up. The word on the street is that the Supreme Council or the Grand Lodge of Romania now recognizes ancient, free, and accepted Masons. So therefore, this is your legitimacy. This is where you all come from. This is the it factor. No, it's not the it factor. That thing is based upon Supreme Councils having amity amongst themselves. But when it finally gets back, this is the word on the streets, and that was not so. And I know most people like to go and talk about the court case of 1910. And how it was proven that during this time, ancient, free, and accepted Masons in the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Washington, D.C., they went to court. Now, you must understand, they lost the first court case. Ancient, free, and accepted Masons loses the first court case, but they won on appeal. The only thing they was in court about was about the authority of practicing Freemasonry. Okay? The court ruled that the ancient, free, and accepted Masons had every right to practice Masonry, just like PHA did, or Prince Hall Masonry had the authority to practice Masonry as a fraternal organization. You must realize that the difference is that the ancient, free, and accepted Masons incorporated themselves. So they was considered, hey, you're an incorporated organization, ancient, free, and accepted Masons. You have that right. But let's take a look at this here. Before they was ancient, free, and accepted, they was York, ancient, free, and accepted. Oh, you didn't see that coming. I'm going to say that again. In 1896, all right, they was incorporated. But before they was ancient, free, and accepted, they was York. They were York. You can go and look this up yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. I keep saying it over and over so people don't come back, well, he said. No, I said it because I can read it before me. Now you need to do the same thing. All right. You need to go do the same thing. All right. And when you do that, you're going to find out some stuff. You're going to find this out because something took place. Something took place. And you got to understand, okay, so what took place during that time? What took place during that time? So as we know, and I'm gonna get back to this here, when W.D. Matthews, when he told the Grand Lodges to come back to the National, if not, you're all suspended. So if you didn't come back to the National, all of y'all suspended because the National Grand Lodge issued charters to Grand Lodges. We all know this. That's a fact. Ain't no need of us even debating where the issue came from. But a lot of them did not. So those are expelled Masons already. I'm listening. Yeah, all of those are expelled Masons. If you did not come back to the National Compact or the National Grand Lodge at the time under W.D. Matthews, his ultimatum, you was done. You was expelled. Okay? Because them guys was the it factor. We call them PHO today, but they were the it factor. Okay? If you left them, you was done. You are considered an expelled Masons. And as today's standard, if you are expelled Mason, then you're a clandestine. So if your Grand Lodge came out of the National Grand Lodge and you did not go back after Matthews issued that ultimatum, then you are considered a clandestine Mason, according to some of y'all. Think about it. I'm just saying. I just need for you to think about it. So they say a dispensation was never given by the Grand Lodges in what claim made by John G. Jones fraction to divert the legitimacy question that would soon arise again in sudden establishment of Illinois' Grand Lodge after it was formed, okay, in 1900. All right. So St. John's Grand Lodge was formed in 1900. Okay. Officially in 1903, it was incorporated. You can find those. You can find that. The negative would substantially be seen, okay, in 1877. That's where the beginning of issues take place. This is where you find that John G. Jones was elected or put in positions to be a president of what we call the General Grand Masonic Congress of that time. Bingo. Oh, you didn't know. See, the National Grand Lodge was WWD's. He was the it factor. Okay. Later on, we find that there's the thing called the National Compact, which later became the General Grand Masonic Congress. Oh, you didn't see that coming, huh? I'm sorry. That's what happened. But you got this missing error. You have that 1896 to 1903. Why did the Grand Lodge of Illinois did not suspend John G. Jones, who is the sovereign grand commander of the western and southern jurisdiction? Why they didn't suspend this man? And now in 1900, he's a part of St. John's Grand Lodge of Illinois. So this man has 2 memberships in 2 Grand Lodges, 2 memberships in 2 Supreme Councils. What in the world is happening? Somebody gotta point something out to me. What's happening during this time that John G. Jones, or I'm just pointing him out because he's the figurehead at that time. He's a member of 2 Supreme Councils. He's also a member of 2 Grand Lodges because he doesn't get suspended or expelled from the Grand Lodge of Illinois, PHA, until 1903. Why you wait so long? It seems to me that a person who has that type of membership can only function in one Masonic body. But you waited to 1903? I'm just saying, you waited to that time. And as we all know, during that time, John G. Jones, along with other Masons, and I'm only using him as a front man because there are other Masons who are mentioned in the Masonic history that is out there, like Seville. Seville is mentioned. H.C. Scott is mentioned. William Gray is mentioned. And a lot of people want to say, well, they're expelled Prince Hall Masons. Well, Matthews already told you was expelled because you didn't come back to the National. He already told you that. All right. I'm just giving you facts. These are the things that you can actually go look up for yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. All right. So if you go to our state bystander newspaper, you need to go to December the 21st, 1900. They have a whole article about John G. Jones and who he is as a Mason. And I know that I've seen documents that shows that John G. Jones was still a member of John G. Jones Lodge out of Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Illinois. There are documents showing that. The question is why would you keep this man who's a part of 2 Masonic bodies, 2 Supreme Councils on your roll until 1903? Because we all know that John G. Jones, the man, was the imperial potentate. Okay, you got to realize it wasn't until 1900 that the ancient Egyptian order, nobles of the Mystic Shrine, was organized. You organized that shrine in 1900. You organized that shrine in 1900. That's a fact. Because you list Isaac Howard as your imperial potentate. And we all know that Jones was the imperial potentate. Something ain't right with that coffee. It's too much sugar, too much cream. Something is happening within that coffee. You got to, let me think. Because the more information I come across and the more information I read, and I try to put together this very complex, puzzle, I'm like, whoa, wait, hold on, back up. I have to go back and look at other information, okay? So once again, go get the Iowa State Bystander newspaper, volume 7, okay? Dated December the 21st, 1900. It has a whole article on John G. Jones. A whole article, all right? You go get that. And it tells you about John G. Jones being the Sovereign Grand Commander in 1900. It tells you about him being part of St. John's Grand Lodge in 1900. It tells you also about the trip that he took to Romania, which actually took place in 1902. It tells you that. It tells you that he visited Romania in 1902. And he spoke to the Sovereign Grand, and it tells you the name of the Sovereign Grand Commander that he spoke to. I'm just saying, you can do this. And I'm telling you what newspaper to find it out of, because I know people are going to come behind me and say, oh man, you're full of this and you're full of that. That didn't happen. No, I'm telling you where you can find this at. All right. Now check this out. Man, you got me going deep now. All right. Now I'm quite sure most of you are familiar with the Bee. All right. The Washington Bee. The Washington Bee was a black-owned newspaper. I need for you to go. Hear me clearly. I need for you to go and look at the Washington Bee, October the 12th, 1900. October 12th, 1900, Washington Bee newspaper. It has a whole article in there about the Supreme Council, for which John G. Jones is the Sovereign Grand Commander. Okay? It tells you about it. Let's see. So it tells you that it says, it tells you about the Knights. Okay, so this is going to be the Knights of the Red Cross of Constantine. The Knights of the Red Cross of Constantine. All right. John G. Jones was given the authority. He was given this authority. I'm telling you where you can go find this out. He was given the authority to have the Knights of Constantine, or the Knights of the Red Cross of Constantine. He was given that authority in 1900, October the 13th. And this is a whole article about how he received that authority and who gave it to him. Now, mind you, Jones is in 2 Grand Lodges and 2 Supreme Councils at that time, because the Grand Lodge of Illinois, PHA, still has him listed as a member up until his expulsion in 1903. It's something happening in this era and time. Something is going on. The minutes of 1901 spells it out. All right. So if the minutes of 1901 spells it out, why you wait till 1903? Something ain't right. It took you 2 years after 1901 to expel the man, but you have 2 you have 2 Supreme Councils, okay? Jones is part of. You now have 2 Imperial Councils, and you have 2 Grand Lodges And this man is a part of every one of them, because you can't have the ancient Egyptian orders of the nobles of the Mystery Shrine organizing in 1900 under Isaac Howard, and you still got the ancient Arabic nobles of the Mystery Shrine, for which John G. Jones is the imperial he's the imperial council. He's the imperial potentate. You can't have it like that. Okay, I'm looking at it. Oh yeah, and those newspaper articles are primary source. They are. They're the it factor. All right. Hold on just a second, because I'm not done yet. You got to look at Jones had a lot of pull. He had a lot of pull. He had pull even with what we would call the white Shriners. Okay. He had pull with them. Now check this out. In 1920, I want to say 1920. It's like 1920 or 1915, somewhere along up in there. The white Shriners, hear me clearly, the white Shriners sues the ancient Egyptian order nobles of the mystic shrine. They sue them, but they don't sue the ancient Arabic nobles of the mystic shrine, for which John G. Jones is the imperial potentate. They don't sue them. They sue Prince Hall Shrindom. Why do they sue them? But they don't sue Jones. I'm just asking the question because I don't quite get it. And this is why they celebrate Jubilee Day, is because they won their court case to practice Shrindom. However, the ancient Arabic order nobles of the Mystery Shrine, founded by John G. Jones, has never gone to court to be sued. Have they? And if you can show me that they have, pull up the documents. Let's take a look. I'm just saying. You know, it's something to be looked at because the way the story is told. I'm just looking at everything that's before me from 1895, when Jones became the Sovereign Grand Commander, up until 1903, his demise from Prince Hall Grand Lodge. And I'm looking at some things that had taken place during that time that tells me something isn't right. Something ain't right with that whole expulsion, that whole expelled, that whole thing. Something isn't right, because there are documents. Okay, there are documents showing two things that occurred. There are documents showing that John G. Jones expelled Thornton A. Jackson. Oh, you didn't know that, right? Yeah, there are documents showing that John G. Jones expelled Thornton A. Jackson from the Supreme Council. Yeah. Oh, don't look at me like I'm funny. I'm just saying there is documents in the newspaper of that time that says John G. Jones expelled Thornton A. Jackson from the Supreme Council. In like manner, Thornton A. Jackson then turns around and expels John G. Jones from the Supreme Council. Do you believe there was some type of agreement amongst these gentlemen, who was the Sovereign Grand Commander of their own Supreme Councils? Do you think there was an agreement between Thornton A. Jackson and John G. Jones to say, look, you don't bother me, I'm not going to bother you, and we'll let things be as they are? And somebody then gets upset and suspends that man, and then that man suspends that man from the Supreme Council. Now, the Supreme Council has a right to expel you, but here's the difference. If you are expelled from the Supreme Council as a member, you still can be a member of a Grand Lodge. Oh, you didn't know that, right? If a Supreme Council expels you from the Scottish Rite, York Rite, as we know it today, you still can be a member of your sitting Grand Lodge. Oh, that You didn't know that? Yeah, you can. That's a fact. But the way most structures are established today, the Supreme Council has a connection with the Grand Lodge. So if you're suspended from the Grand Lodge, all right, you're no longer functioning in the Supreme Council. I'm going to say that again. If you are suspended or expelled from your Grand Lodge, you are no longer functioning or a functioning member in your Scottish Rite York Rite body as it stands today. So what happened? I keep going back to that what happened thing is because it's a lot of moving pieces. It's a lot of moving pieces, and it really makes you think in regards to what actually occurred during that time. I have more questions than answers. I do. I have more questions than answers because I'm like, something isn't functionally taking place to where you can say these things. And it makes it even more confusing. It really, really does. So when you go and you question, you even ask, and you ask yourself, okay, how is it that you can expel a person and yet he's still functioning in the Scottish Rite York Rite? I just need to know. I need for someone to come along and break that down to me. Also, this is what you do also. Here's another piece for you. I need for you to check out the Washington Bee. The Washington Bee. I need for you to go check out August 29th, 1896. August 29th, 1896, the Washington Bee. All right. I need for you to check that out because then there's an article in regards to John G. Jones in his discussion of what took place in 1717. He's actually, there's an actual article in there, okay, regarding Jones and his questioning and his travels, because that man traveled a lot. He was well off. He could do that. He traveled the world, all right? That's a known fact. He did do that, all right? He traveled, and he started to question 1717. I'm just saying. I have more questions than anything. Yes, he did say 1717, and you can go look in the Washington Bee newspaper, August the 29th, 1896. All right? You can go look that up. He mentions it. His question is, how is it that these gentlemen can meet at a tavern, a place of drinking, and organize themselves into a Grand Lodge? That was his question. How could they do that? And who gave them authority? You can go read this in the Washington Bee, August 29th, 1896. Now, if I've said something out of place, you can go look this up. You can come back and tell me, hey, man, that's not quite right. You missed something. Or maybe you had or something. You can do that. No, he was not expelled yet. And yes, he was questioned in England at the time. Yeah. And I'm telling you where you can go find it at. All right. Now, you also have to realize these titans, Thornton A. Jackson, John G. Jones, W.D. Matthews, these titans, they didn't play. Even if you was their friend, they didn't play. They would expel you in a minute. All right. So John G. Jones, W.D. Matthews, Thornton A. Jackson, man, they was expelling people left and right. They were. I'm looking through this history and I'm like, oh, wait. And then I go and I began to look at the different scrimmages that took place. And when I'm reading these different scrimmages that taken place, I'm looking at these men expelling. Man, they didn't. It was crazy. That's why the water is so muddy. Thornton A. Jackson, John G. Jones, W.D. Matthews were expelling everyone. And these Masons that they was expelling was jumping jurisdiction to jurisdiction. They was going from here to there. That's what they was doing. So that's why we can't understand what happened between 1895 up until 1903. That's the opinion that I've come to. That's the conclusion I've come to until I've come across more information. You had brothers in these various jurisdictions going from place to place to place. That's why a lot of people, oh, they're expelled Masons. Everybody wasn't expelled, bruh. Some people was leaving because they didn't like Jones. Some people left because they didn't like Matthews. People was leaving because they didn't like Thornton A. Jackson. So when Jones leaves or gets expelled in 1903, he didn't organize any Grand Lodge by himself. He may have assisted to organize Grand Lodges, but he never organized a Grand Lodge by himself. Never. He didn't become Grand Master of anything till later in his life. Later in his life, he became a Grand Master. Think about that. He was the sovereign Grand Commander up until his death. He was the imperial potentate up until his death. And after Jones's death, the shit hit the fan. And when I say that is because of the many scrimmages that came after his death amongst Black Masons, particularly those of the ancient, free, and accepted Masons. It wasn't until after his death that you get the multiple splits within the Southern and Western Masonic Jurisdiction Supreme Council. And those Grand Lodges that made up that fraction. It doesn't happen until what we know today as the General Grand Masonic Congress, which was the National Compact, not the National Grand Lodge, but the National Compact. It wasn't until 1944 that the Prince Hall fraction, as we know it today, organized themselves into a conference. You can look this up. 1944, Arkansas. Okay? You can look in the Premier, the Prince Hall Premier. You can look into that. It says the Prince Hall Premier, 1961. Look in that Premier and it tells you in 1944. It tells you 1944 is when Prince Hall Council of Grand Lodges was truly organized. And that conference, they asked every Grand Lodge to change the ham from whatever, because there were Grand Lodges, there was Prince Hall, but they was ancient, free, and accepted Masons. So what they did was, in order to separate themselves, they said we would be known as the PHA, Prince Hall Affiliation. And we're asking every Grand Lodge to change its ham from ancient, free, and accepted Mason to free and accepted Masons. Although there were Prince Hall Grand Lodges that said free and accepted Masons, but a lot of them still had the ancient, free, and accepted Masons part of their banner. Grand Lodge of Alabama, Prince Hall, ancient, free, and accepted Masons. The Grand Lodge of Florida, free, ancient, free, and accepted Masons, just the name too. But you can go back and look in the history. They were ancient, free, and accepted Masons. A lot of them were. A lot of them was ancient York Masons. And they changed the banner to say Prince Hall, free and accepted Mason, Grand Lodge of State. I'm giving you what's written in the newspapers. I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm just saying, go read it for yourself and come up with your own opinion. That's all. That's what you do. And also, you can go and look at the Washington Bee, October the 30th, 1897. And it tells you about the Imperial Grand Council of the ancient Arabic order nobles of the Mesa Shrine. And who was at the session that year. And they can tell you who was the imperial potentate. I'm just saying, look, I'm going to have to go, but I needed to put that information out while it was on my brain, man, because there was so much running around till I was like, oh, I got to get it out. I had just got through talking with my dear friend and historian, Brother Christopher Tave, you know, in the things that he came up with. There's a book out there, and I don't know how many copies are out there, but my good friend Tyrone Montgomery sent me a whole lot of information from it's the United Supreme Council, Southern and Western Masonic Jurisdiction. They have minutes from 1893 to 1965. This book is about yay thick, and it has minutes compiled over a length of time about things that took place, okay, at the Supreme Session. I'm just saying, there's information out there. But between 1895 up until 1903, man, there was so much happening. It is so confusing in that time until you have to really take a step back and really begin to digest what those titans were actually doing. I'm just saying. So I've come to my own conclusion that although John G. Jones may have been expelled in 1903 by Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Illinois, I have come to my own conclusion that Jones had long checked out, based upon the factual information that I have of him being a sovereign grand commander at that time, by the incorporation of William Gray being the Grand Master of St. John's in 1900. Okay. The fact that the man was part of 2 Supreme Councils, 2 Grand Lodges, and 2 Imperial Councils. Although we know he was the imperial potentate for only one. I've come to my own conclusion that John G. Jones had clearly checked out long before they claimed to expelled him, based upon the information I've read for myself, based upon newspaper articles that clearly say, hey, this guy here he's on a whole nother level. Although later in his life, he did become paranoid. John G. Jones, W.D. Matthews, Thornton A. Jackson, those guys were so, I don't have a word for it, but those titans were so animate in regards to who they were of that time until it was just unreal. You know, so that's my conclusion. That's what I've come up to. Thornton A. Jackson, John G. Jones, W.D. Matthews, those titans was just that. And John G. Jones had checked out long before he was expelled. Although they kept his name, although you may find that he was doing his thing, he was long gone. 1895 was the year. I'm out. I'm just saying. Think about it. Just think about it. Yep, those are primary sources and no secondary primary sources. Somebody is in trouble. I see somebody hit a brick wall. It's there. All I'm saying is there. These are the newspaper articles of that time. Are the primary sources for which I gave you. Go check it out. Hey, Until next time, whatever you do, stay out the bushes, keep your light on. I appreciate each of you hanging out with me today. I got to go make an errand. I got to go make a run real quick and get my money. That's what I'm about to do. Let me see. I appreciate any brother on this beautiful journey. Oh, most definitely. I'm going back through the commentaries right now. Can anybody from PHA tell me that y'all came back to the compact? If not, by the Grandmaster Matthews, y'all are expelled. Something to think about. Was John G. Jones the brother that was executed in like manner of the ritual? No. Yeah, that was a lot of information, man. It was all, I had to get it out. I am blessed and thankful for the discussion and dialogue. I appreciate you. Thank you. Greetings, families, from what the topic is on tonight. Fabulous. Thank you. I appreciate it. Anthony Ruddock. Appreciate you. I hope everything is well with you, brother. I'm just going back through the comments. Definitely, you can go look up the newspaper, Washington Bee. Yep, the newspaper is called Washington Bee. Go look it up for yourself. Or you can find John G. Jones all through it. Good, bad, and ugly. Let me say this here. There are some good things, some bad things, and some ugly things about all of those men that I just called out. Okay? All of them. Did PHA come? No, I'm just going back through it. What's the title of the book again? The title of this book is called Latro Fremo. Okay? This is the original copy. This is the breakdown of all of that information. Okay? Now, whether I couldn't tell you if you're going to be able to find the first copy, because there was printed a limited edition was printed. Now, what you could do is reach out to Brother Christopher Tave. He's a member of St. Joseph Grand Lodge of Texas, Ancient Free and Accepted Masons. If anybody know a Brother Christopher Tave, reach out to him. See if he has any books. See, can it be reprinted? If it can be reprinted, order your book from him. I think the book is running you about maybe $90. That book has a total of, I'm gonna tell you right now, that book has 739 pages printed back and forth. So the book is going to probably cost you close to a C note, $100. This book is going to probably cost you $100. It's not in print anymore as far as I know of. So it's going to probably cost you close to $100. And you're going to probably say, why so much? Because the book has to go back and be reprinted and mailed to you. So if you're going to get it, get that one. Now, this one may be still in print. This is called Lateral Fremo, .2, okay, 2-0, all right, by Brother Christopher Tave, 33rd, okay? It's a great book. I appreciate him and what he said in these books, and we're going to go from there, you know? I mean, it's man, hey, you know, that's what's in it. Let me see if I got anything else in here. Appreciate you, AJ. What's going on with you? Point Blank, Bruce Wayne, what's happening? Thank you for everybody coming in. Please do me a favor, hit the like button, share this information if you don't mind. Share it, I don't care. I'm willing to talk to anybody about the information I have. Anybody. I'm willing to have that conversation with anybody regarding the information I have. Until next time, peace and be well. Stay out the bushes, keep your light on. I'm out. Peace and blessings.